Welcome to a new episode of the Bandwagon Podcast, and today is a very unique guest, somebody who I've mentioned a few times on previous episodes. So I was gonna kind of save this further down the line, but I just thought I needed to get him on in order to give everything else some kind of context. Um, he's very synonymous with many industries. A true icon of Birmingham and especially the Panjabi industry as well. He is Mr. Apna Bhajan.
Good evening, and welcome to everybody to the Roaring Ricky Pandal show.
I just simply call it the Bandwagon Podcast now.
मैं वो ना नहीं लेना चाहता सी.
I think it's gonna go like this for a long time. So how are you, Uncle? How's the?
I'm all good, Ricky. Really, to see your face, I feel even more better now. You know,
that's good. But what about those people who are listening in and they don't have the
to all the listeners, I like to say big up Ricky Pandal and the Bandwagon. You know, because these kind of shows take time, and I pray that more people like Ricky Pandal get on the bandwagon as well.
Thanks, Uncle. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
You're most welcome.
So over the last sort of 12 months, your health hasn't been great, and I know that this is one of the big things I wanted to kind of get you and the stories in one place to kind of interview. It was one of the motivations of why I wanted to do these kind of interviews was a lot of knowledge that you have, you know, needed to be documented down. And I know you do your kind of Facebook lives, but I just wanted to do it in my way. So firstly, how you been in the last sort of 12 months?
I've been absolutely brilliant, and the man upstairs has been looking after me very well. It's just what happened, 60, 70 years back. Hon to theek thaak hai, hon nahi mainu worry koi bhi. Because he's been looking after me very well, health and wealth,
Yeah, definitely from that side. I think you kind of the bionic.
Obviously, now I'm approaching 80 now, and 80 people get mistaken by 18 and 80. I can't help that.
Okay, you look exactly the same. I'm sure. Whenever you put your old pictures up, you look exactly the same.
God bless you. God bless you. I've got a bad memory now, though, but I forget very quickly.
Oh, okay.
And if you
go on.
No.
No, that's fine. So, cool. Like taking it back. So, like, I think your legendary shop, Apna Videos, is on Holyhead Road in Handsworth.
Yeah.
What was the story to get to having the shop there, and what was the significance of the importance of the shop?
Actually, my shop was on Rookery Road, but before that we was on Soho Road for many years, and then I moved to Rookery Road. And interesting little story for you. Rookery Road was Apna Video on the corner, and there's these two guys that walked into my place on a Sunday evening. One was my half Pindu, the other one became my brother. They walked into the shop and they asked me, is it possible that you can join up with us and we can make a band? Pachangi actually in Punjabi means youth. They was in the Pachangis at the time. And the last function they'd done was at Holyhead School as well. And believe it or not, it was our Pindu's function as well. And they walked in and they asked me, they says, Bhajan, we'd like to make a group, but we'd like to make a group with you. They started the band off, this, but this, and all the rest. Name of Fame Sangeet, Fame Grobby.
So Fame was a famous film. It was a film that was around at the time, wasn't it?
Well, that was before my time. I wouldn't remember them kind of things, So, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ time ਤੋਂ ਵੀ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਸੀ ਕਰਕੇ ਉਹ ਤਾਂ ਨਿਆਣੇ ਹੀ ਆਈਦਾ ਸੀ.
Yeah.
And we started talking and working and gigging and trigging, very happily. I didn't like the name, honestly. I know there was influenced, or they or him was influenced by fame.
Mm.
And because of our love, which is still the same way today, especially with my brother Sadara, it's still the same. Nothing's changed at all. And I thank God, bless him, all the health and wealth of this world, because he's been a proper. I'm getting a bit emotional as well. He's been a proper brother. And we formed a band. Well, I do remember whose function it was as well. Me and Sadara, we went, to the gentlemen's.
I don't know.
Well, you got to go there. If you're alive, you got to go there.
Yeah, all right. Oh, you
We went
toilet? Yeah.
Oh, Jess, I didn't want to be rude. Okay.
Right.
Anyway,
Okay.
चलो all right. तू यार English type बहुत है quick यहाँ तू rude कहता है नाले.
Too fast, Denny.
मैं कहा gentleman, India ਵਿੱਚ ਖੇਤਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਜਾਣਾ ਪੈਣਾ ਸੀ. We would have had to go to the fields, fields to, have a proper thing, Anyway, while we was, messing around, and I says, between ourselves, he says, why don't we call it Apna Sangeet? Me and Sadara. The name became Apna Sangeet.
So
I formed the band.
So that was like towards when you've already established the shop. But what
the shop was established long time before Apna Sangeet.
Yeah, take me back to then. So like
the good old days.
Yeah. So like a lot of people would have been, especially the first generation of immigrants who came over, and people were working, like to go into kind of video photography and all that kind of electrical stuff. Was that very common or very rare?
Well, we took it in a big way, but we was under another name, and the name of the shops was Fantex. And before that, I'd like to thank Britannic Warehouse, which is in Spring Hill. I'd like to thank them actually, because they put me on this road that I'm on now. We had the gaffer, the main manager, especially KK Leroya. Everybody knew him as David Leroya. He was actually the master. And from there, I made friends with the manager, Jeet Sejal. And we became best of mates, and we're still the same now. I'm proud to say 1970s, and we're still the same now, as a love and respect for each other. Nothing's ever changed. I can knock on his door 24/7. We're still the same. And as I said, that's where it all started. And Jeet and I became partners in Fantex 73s. And then we moved on. I moved on 76 to Apna Video.
So what were you specialized? What was the kind of work that you did in Fantex?
In Fantex, we was buying and selling electrical goods, branded goods. We had a good 4 or 5 shops. We've done quite well, actually. We had one in Bearwood, we had 2 in Lozells, we had another one in Spark Hill. We was doing good, but again, I didn't want to work myself to death. It was 24/7. Would get up 8 o'clock, take the kids to school, go to the shop, finish the shop about 8, 9 o'clock, go in the pub, have a few drinks, 11, 12, come back home. Same routine every day. I'm not a drinker, as you know. I don't drink really. I'm a very casual. I don't smoke and I don't do drugs. All the other come, yes, I do. I wouldn't say no.
The nature boy.
The nature boy. We are. We like Adam. That I was around when Adam and Eve was. One of them has got to be a female. So, it was all, to go. And ever since they listened, and we've gone forth and multiplied,
So you made a decision at the time that you wanted to kind of go down your own.
I just wanted to enjoy. But in that same time, I started videoing. A video camera was worth the same as my house. You won't believe that. That's how much my house was, and that's how much the video camera was. But thank you to God, that we bought that camera for the shop to sell, but I used it for myself and a lot of other charities and a lot of other people. And believe it or not, weddings was my specialty, and weddings is still my specialty.
So,
We do
so,
make.
so how when you were doing the kind of the weddings at that time, so you've got one hand still doing your electrical stuff. You then got your
Yeah,
weddings, and then the
yeah.
music side of things started to come in. How did you
That's,
balance all that demand at the same time?
I honestly, to tell you, I couldn't sing as a band. I'm being honest, the other people can bullshit. There's plenty of them about. I couldn't sing, but I said I'll have a go. And so I did. And as the band there was just the three of us actually first. Then Devinder Park Halsey, you know, he was available because they'd gone on tour without him. His little band, Kanal Chima and Bhajan and what's the lady's name as well. They separated they parted company, but because Kalsi was free and he was a good tabla player as well, so we kept him as a player. And then this other guy, he used to be with everybody. He's called quite a few names for that. He would be with one group, with a Pangreal, the next on this and that. And I suggested that the other bands didn't have actually one of them tall players in the band. He played with many other bands as well, which I know of as well. And he never was settled in any band so that he could. Clever bloke. He kept a note of other people, who could he go with for the sake of having a show rather than doing nothing, He would play dole, he would play dolki, and then he would do the circus acts, I suggested that we have him as well. And so we brought him into the band as well. Then as time was going on, the band, actually my favorite band, I say it a million times, they are diamonds themselves. Hira was my favorite band. And, for the first year that we was together, I remember Sudara, I remember Pumra. Pumra many times played the keyboard as well. We needed extra people. And me looking at my favorite band, I had Kang, AS Kang, helping out in my shop. And I suggested to him that he can join our group because he left Chirag Pechan, him and Nikki Patel. They left Chirag Pechan. Unfortunately, at the time that Nikki joined us, unfortunately, I say, Nikki's brother committed suicide in Canada. And he went, the same week they joined up, he went to Canada. But we had functions to do. And we told Nikki, you take it peacefully. I think he spent about 2-3 weeks in Canada, with his brother family. And when Nikki came back, but in between that time, actually Pamra used to play the keyboards as well. But when Nikki came back, he joined the group as well. We had good decisions. And I knew that Nikki was very talented, and they couldn't believe it that Nikki and Kang, that I'd brought the two together. Kang had helped him out, he'd helped me out at the shop, different things as well. We made a successful band straight away, Bunny Ibn Band Milky. They made a lot of success. I remember listening to Soho Road and Mera Yaar Bhi Aave Tol. It was done at the same time, recordings, but one hit song on a level was absolutely brilliant for them. Soho Road Utte Tenu Labda Fira. That is an absolute classic. Fir Pamre Wallow Mera Yaar Bhi Aave Tol Te Main Bhangade Paਵਾਂ. Absolutely classic. It's still right now. And I felt quite comfortable because 90% of the bookings were mine.
Yeah,
People used.
I remember that, especially when Dad used to go. Like we used to live on Grafton Road at the time, so not just too far off from Holyhead. And I remember a lot of people when they used to come to like the one place. Really, you had Soul Road to do all the wedding shopping, and book a video guy, and you book the group there, because you used to not only have connections with Apna Sangeet, you used to have a very, very strong connections to a lot of the other bands.
One of my favorite people, I better mention them because they've been absolutely wonderful guys. Nachir Sansar, the Bhangra band, which I love, respect. Even when they had the 25th anniversary of themselves, I remember Amarjit Sidhu on stage. And first of all, I arrived late because I was at a wedding, and I came and I looked around all the tables. Every second city was packed out. I looked around and I thought, not just in Sarah's got all the singers here, Malkeet, Jazzy V, everybody, all the singers they had there. You name it, Shin, Sadara, Pamra, all the singers, mainly the singers they had there because they'd been in their videos, Nacha Cesar was the most talked about band as a Bhangra group, And I walked up to the guys and I looked around. I says, where's my seat then? You won't believe this. They sat me in between Sadara and Malkeet. I'm not a singer. I can't even sing. Though sings my name though. I couldn't sing. So anyway, I waited there. And I tell you one thing. Amarjit Sidhu, he's my brother as well. Very, very close. Amarjit Sidhu presented the whole show, and when he came down to the award of 25 years, somebody who's done so much for Bhangra and this and that, and who always, with Nachas and Saad, it was like 75, 25 bookings, there was my bookings, and honestly, hand on heart, they're all golden kids, I would say. Now they're all in 55s, 55s, 60 approaching. Then Amity gave a speech, and I was sitting right next to Sadara and Malkeet. And I says, there's nobody in the world that could do what he's just saying. And, there's a guy near me. He was usual, jumping around and, being happy, false happiness. I've always seen it. I've known the guy for so many years. I've known him before he was even born, I think. He was jumping around to say that he's going to get the award, obviously. It's not going to be Bhajan or anybody else, or even Sadare Huni or anybody, God knows. They've got many supporters. And when he read the name out, he read my name out. Shall I tell you, I even says to Sadara, you come on stage with me, because we both were that close that I said, even if I'm going to pick a award, but I'd rather have you with me. But Sadara says, no, he says, I'm not going on stage with you because you deserve it more than anybody else. And I thank God that, even they've held together Bhangra band, Bhangra group, giving culture to the UK and all around the world as well. And I'm still very close links to VJ, Jag, Suki, all the guys, they're all brilliant guys. Nachas and Sar voted the number one as well. And they're gentlemen. All of them are gentlemen. Back to Apna Sangeet, we started doing functions and this. And I even remember when they was voted number one band of UK. I felt so proud again, Bhangra Awards. And I know, hand on heart, Amarjit Sidhu done Bhangra Awards. I personally will say, not once, but a million times over, the most fairest decisions made for all the people, all the bands, all the entertainers. He never by-sided anybody. And Amarjit Sidhu gave, you won't believe it, he gave every person that's in Britain, in UK, the startings, and he gave them more, he gave them so much ammunition to fire with by playing at the Dome.
So yeah,
I know
Dips Bamra was talking about this, the importance of how the dome and the awards were happening. And I
The
know that in
awards,
your shop you got the plaques as well. You've been
yeah.
donated the plaques.
I honestly, hand on heart again. Apna Sangeet's award, Sadara gave it to me. I tried at one time when things weren't going my way in life. I tried to give Sadara's award back. Safri's award had been in my shop for nearly 15 odd years, more than that probably. And when Safri had a knockback, he had a bit of a thing go on with his health as well. Safri's like a brother to me as well. And I phoned up Safri and I says, now that you're fit and well, because I used to take him out and about, my heart is with real people, not with false people, And I said to Safri, please take your award back as well, because tomorrow if something happens to you, they will ask me, how can you have an award from Safri that's written, in a gold thing, everything for Safri, and he's giving it to you? I says, that's brothership, there is, not only them awards, but there are so many more that I could really mention. But I don't show off my awards. My awards are the people that I still associate with now. You don't need false awards. There's plenty of them about. I mean, one of the jokers of this world, the con man of Bhangra, I mean, he gives awards to everybody. Come to my function and I'll give you an award. Not naming people, but I know that his awards have got nothing to do. There's other people doing brilliant jobs, They're giving people stage, to come on to. It may not be the best stage in the world, but I personally say, at least he's doing Bhangra, Bhangra culture, that's Bobby Bowler. I think he does a wonderful job. When he started doing them, it wasn't so good. But at the end of the day, before this lockdown and everything, he's had good for the last 7 years. He's had very good prospects, giving people the stage to perform in front of 1,000 people crowd. I personally respect Amarjit Sidhu for being the master that's done so much for Punjabi Bhangra. And obviously Apna Sangeet, Sadara Gill, Apne Pamra, doing that.
So, when just going slightly back, you've almost you've fathered the group at that point. You've bought people
100%.
You've bought into the bands and that. I know we've always come back to this conversation of the point when you had to make the difficult decision of saying you're going to step away from the band from singing.
Actually, Sachila, Ricky, the truth, the band would have been finished. The band would have been finished if it had not been for Sadara Gill. And I swear, if it had not been for Sadara Gill saying to me golden words, he says, the band would have been finished. One mistake I made, I will tell you openly. One bad mistake I made in my life, and I regret that. I wish I'd not taken pity on the beggars of life. Not one of them had any talent that was ever shown. I let their talent be shown. And on top of that, the band Apna Sangeet, I'll say to their face, I'll say to anybody, I gave them rejik. Rejik means wealth. Wealth means money. I gave them wealth equal to each and every one of them. Not one of them can say that, oh, he done wrong. How could they? They were just little boys. They were just little boys, playing with toys. While they got a earning, they made properties, they made other things. And it was all to my thinking that there was the only band in Britain that was paid equal. In every other band in Britain, no band was ever paid equal. The players, the tolki wale, the tabla wale, the keyboard wale, the baje wale, whatever they played, all the guitar people, never got a share of the band's money. The only people that got the band's money was the lead singers. That's Sudhara Pamra, Tami Kumar, Shin used to join that money with Danny. Everybody else was on rent. The best person to put that music plan right, one of the greatest musicians in today's world. You know, I'm quite proud of him. He's gone through a hell of a fight of life. I've treated him as like a son, like helping him out whenever I could, however I could. And he gave the golden words. He says, musicians are prostitutes. All musicians are prostitutes. Whoever pays them the money, they will go and play for them, no matter who they are. And that is Tubbsy. Tubbsy proved a point. He was alcoholic. He was everything else. He's forgotten all that, made a success of his life. And good luck to him. I remember him as a 10-year, 12-year-old coming into my shop and asking me, Uncle, is there chances I can play with the band? And yet he had so many good connections. You know, from Seattle, he had so many good connections. And now, obviously, he's played with all the best. You name it, Tubbsy's been there, you know. And I'm quite proud of that as well, that he's done well for himself. And don't forget, I'm really proud of my nephews as well. Same guys, there was a school band, you know, Kalakar was the name of the band. At school, George Dixon. And behold, you know, sometimes when people push, and I know exactly the person who pushed somebody, they pushed him to say, you're nothing, you're just a keyboard player. Never, ever let the lion roar in anger, because that lion will eat you. While that guy was going great, he pushed our Bhutta into a corner to say, you're nothing but a keyboard player. Behold, overnight, B21 was born. And they achieved what they achieved, I think not many bands have ever achieved. I personally know, I think they haven't done more than 4 or 5 live functions. They played background music, you know, off the data. And they sang their songs, danced, everything, and made the love of the world, B21, on the map. I'm very proud of them as well, you know.
Yeah, I mean, if you look back in the history of Bhangra, like Bhutta and Bali, Jassi as well, you know, they are very integral to the, you know, the
Absolutely
fabric,
wonderful.
especially with obviously with the name of the band, and you know, they've had, I think it's important, they've had successful careers after
They've
that
had
as well.
beautiful. They're all great kids. They're all great kids. People do wrong, and sometimes if you haven't got an older person in there, it ruins things. And children are children. I don't care what you say. As long as the parents are alive, there'll always be children, no matter how old you get. You know, I wish he hadn't ended up like that, because Bhutta, Bali, and Jesse are very talented people in their own right. You know, same as Apna, Bikrada Munda bhi, Jazz Tami bhi, you know, he's the same. You know, he's made a very professional career, but it took him a little longer by fully training himself professionally. I'm very proud of him as well. And obviously, I'm very proud of Bikar as well, because that was Bikar's dream, actually. You know, me and Bikar are like brothers as well. And many a times he used to say, no, we're going to do it this way, we're going to do this. And nobody listened to him, you know, because his band didn't really prosper. But with Jazz, I think he gave him a very head start to all the other people as well, you know.
So, you know, I'm gonna try and take it back and try and get the story as best documented as I can. So you've left Apna Sangeet now. You're very much into um, the fabric of the wedding industry, getting filming and doing all that.
Yeah.
Then you set up your own band as well. Was that?
I really was not interested in another band ever. You know, give and take about everything. I would always help out the other bands. And many people came and knocked on my door. Please help us do this. I would help them. I didn't want to be part of anybody. But there was one of my favorite guys, Harpal Marwaha. He came and he says to me, Paji, please, can you help us? I know that you've done it for bigger people. They weren't much. We've done a year or so, but it wasn't my type of thing. They wasn't doing anything. Then there was other bands. I thank God that if ever I wanted to do a gig, and they asked me, Pajin, can you bring a band? I would take a band out and I would host the program as well. I would host the program as well. And it was so easy. There was them. Then we made a band which I was very proud of because we have a song out as well. And I don't think many people know that the band name, the song name, Midland, it was called Sone Munde Midland. It was written my brotherly friend, very close friend of mine, Minder Singh Gill, who's now a relative to Sudhare Huni, to Sukhi's daughter. His brother's son is married to Sukhi's daughter. We were brothers before that, and he wrote the song, he gave it to me, and I passed it on to him. Gubsy's dad, Jaswant Lakrambal. I gave it to him. I couldn't read Punjabi, but I knew the song. And it was actually, that same song was Sone Munde Midland Day. Minder lived in Dudley. And that real song was Sone Munde Dudley Day. But I told him we got to change the words and make it bigger. And he changed it to Midland. And behold, Midland Boys was there as well.
I think that one song used to be one where whenever you used to go to a wedding and one family's from one side, that was always the golden card to play when you want to make sure you take over the dance floor.
It's absolutely brilliant. He made me proud. I always say in my life, give a person at least 3 chances before you put him down. We make a mistake sometimes, we're on John. Second time we make a mistake, we're on John again, thinking, am I right? And third time, my ways, if a person does it 3 times with me, third time I show them the door quite well, nice, polite mannered. I tell them you go and look for who you got to look for, but don't look for me,
So Uncle, when you got to a point where the bands weren't for you, you were helping a lot of people out.
No.
When was the kind of the next jump when you started thinking about the DJing thing? Because I could arguably say that you're probably one of the longest running, if not the now longest running DJ in the UK, Bhangra DJ. How did that kind of start off? Because I'm sure you were one of the only ones who was doing it at the time.
No. There was Mick was superior. Mick is my brother as well.
Yeah, Mick Sinclair. Yeah.
Mick Sinclair was about, and with Mick as 17-year-olds, I used to go to Mick's DJ. Can you believe that? He used to DJ.
What year are we talking about here?
Oh God, man. You're talking about 71, 72, 71 probably.
And he was the first. He was the first.
He was one of the first in the Midlands. You could argue with other people. There was other DJs which I know of, but they weren't DJs. Mick had a flamboyant, Munda Kunda, atmosphere about him. And to be honest, I don't know. Me and Mick were like brothers, and we looked alike. And many times we done functions alike as well. He'd be the DJ, and I would be the video man there, and we just mess around. We always loved each other, always big respects. Even today, he'll always ask, Bhajan, Aja, come on, we'll do it. I've never been after. Everybody has a time plan. I got into it accidentally. I'm allowed to tell secrets.
Yeah.
Actually,
you stole one of his gigs.
No, 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 no. Oh, gigs, I never ever stole anybody's gigs. I tell you what I did buy. Mick St. Clair's decks and his cassette deck off him with the record decks, you know, the built-in ones. And I started DJing. You know, I started DJing. And the only reason why I started DJing was I saw this stupid guy. I still think he's stupid. He was at a function. You know, he's a program, you know, I can name the place, but I won't name the guy because I don't know, you know, I wouldn't like to name the guy.
Yeah.
As we was at the function, your good friends, Samson.
Oh, yeah.
He was there. And they done a show there. And in between that, this guy that I wouldn't even think even twice about. You know, he had the mini discs. He had 2 mini discs. And he was playing song after song, you know, while people could dance on the dance floor, you know, while they were changing the act and all that, you know. And he had the PA system as well. I looked at him. He didn't know which song to pick. I says, I can do that easily. And I thought, you know, I could do that quite easily. Anyway, we bought the stuff. We went to a function. God, I'll have to ask him one day. He's a pharmacist as well. We went to his wedding. And behold, Jet and Pripal asked me to, they says, can you come and mic on the mic? You know.
To host it, to host the party.
Host it, you know, host it. You know. I says, yeah, no problem. I went and they put the PA up. The PA was mine, the band's PA, you know, which I'd left there. They put it up, they put some lights up, and we done the whole function. Honestly, it was a brilliant, brilliant atmosphere function. And, you know, and the family thanked me so much. And then he went on from there, carried on non-stop. And I think one of my proudest moments while I was in Birmingham, well, I'm still in Birmingham, you know, it got to heights, you know, you got likes of another favorite DJ of mine, Tony Mendes. You know, he's absolutely sharp. He was another brilliant DJ as well. You know, his voice was the most powerful voice. You could hear the tone, you know, and he was brilliant. He was one of my favorite DJs. Now we're brotherly friends. You know, we often, you know, not in this lockdown, but before we drank together many times. You know, we've had social, and his sons as well, Sonny. And I couldn't thank him enough. I looked at him and he presented so nicely. You know, he had a wonderful presentation. And I said to Amaji Sidhu, I says, when do we get a chance, you know, for the DJ? And I complained to him. I says, you haven't given me a chance, you know, to DJ there, you know, because I know that he only usually has Mandis there or Mick or whoever. And he says to me, Bhajan, can you read? I say, Amajit, I can read, mate. I can. He says, have you looked at all the flyers? There was flyers around all whole Birmingham, everything. He says, can you read? I says, Amajit, I can read. He said, well, your name's on it, on the flyers with Tony Mendes. Honestly, I could not. I'll secretly tell you, he didn't just give me my satisfaction, but he gave my son the satisfaction as well. Because Jet DJ'd as well, you know. And, you know, DJ to me became a natural source, actually, you know, from decks to cassettes to CDs to now, you know, the controllers. I think controllers are absolutely brilliant, you know. Averagely everybody uses a Mac. And I think DJing is a great relief from the brain. I know that everybody can do DJing. Anybody can. The only golden thing about DJ is hosting it. Make sure you know your Panjabi. Make sure you know your pronunciations. Make sure you know your songs as well. Anybody can be a DJ. anybody, because you got controllers, you got music online, you can go, all the rest of the ways,
But
and you can have it.
how like it's crazy what you're saying. Like you have to kind of understand from the way that I'm kind of thinking. You've gone from someone who's been like selling electrical items, let's say in Bearwood, right?
Yeah.
And then,
In Answorth.
yeah, and in Answorth.
In
So
Answorth.
you've then and Sparkhill and everywhere else. So you've then had to evolve. You're moving along with the technology. Like you just talked about MacBook and how you're doing all these stuff.
Yeah.
Like you could clearly see there's a passion there, and you just haven't stopped where it's got difficult. For people, obviously, with some people getting older, they try and shy away from technology. It seems like you've really embraced it.
I'm quite proud to tell you, 21 years ago, 21 years ago, I went to college. I went to college for a year. I went there so that I could pick up knowledge about something that I saw, and I tried to buy it at that time. The amount of money they wanted 21 years ago for the whole setting, everything, was nearly £30,000. £30,000 they wanted. Obviously, it was too much for me to put, £30,000 out 21 years ago. And I didn't think it was worth 21 years ago, that it was worth that much. But just to tell you, I went to college for a year. And me and this other guy went to college for a year. And we learned, and the lecturer would say, you two guys are always hanging around with each other, no matter what it is, whatever goes on, you two hang around together, always. You come to the college together, you come into class together, you do the subjects together, you work out things together. I said, yeah. They gave us the certificates and all that, and, for the year. And on the day that we was finishing, they says, are you related? I says, yeah, we are. They said, who are you? Brothers. I said, no. I said, we're father and son. That was my oldest son and me at college. I felt pretty proud,
What were you learning? What were you studying?
Photography. You know what? Photoshop. Oh. If you don't know Photoshop, you shouldn't be in this business. Without Photoshop, this world would have been lost. Everything you see in this world is Photoshop. Even behind you, Ricky Pandal Likaya is Photoshop. Bandwagon, that's Photoshop.
This is a real studio. This is a real studio.
I know. But it's written there, and that's done in Photoshop, Yeah. And the rest of the technologies, there's no ending to it. And I thank God for that as well, because I took a decision then to go to college. Because without that, I would have been left behind. There are now people, children as young as 10, 12, they know Photoshop inside out, because that's what they teach them at college, school, everywhere, And that put my job, which I do professionally, which is a video man, photographer, we arrange weddings. We're like family oriented, and I always want to be family oriented. There are probably even 1 million people better than me as far as I'm concerned. But the video weddings that we do and the photography and everything else, we provide a service where we are family oriented. We're not any other way. We're not more modern. I speak Punjabi and English. Everybody that works with us, they've got to speak Punjabi and English. Otherwise, you won't fit into the scene of Punjabis, You've got to understand the language. And it gives you more culture, actually. Weddings, from the days, I've seen every type of wedding. That would be another program altogether. The stories I have about weddings, unbelievable. You would never think that this can happen at a wedding. They do.
We've got a bit of time on that. So what's one of your most memorable weddings? So you don't have to give names or anything. Just give
No, I would never. I have a method of life. If we do somebody's wedding, they're the only people that will have everything off us. nobody else will see, how they are, what they are, what in anything. Because family, the way I look at it, family's a family, and that's it. Finish.
So what was your most memorable then? Come on.
Oh man, I wouldn't like to mention too much on that because
I remember my first wedding with you. My first ever when I was playing a tour. So spoiler alert, I used to play tour with Uncle here. We had a wedding.
Gifted man. Ricky Pandal, I will salute him. Look
No.
A gentleman. Gentleman.
We played the tour at Victoria Palace.
Yeah.
And we were the Tollies. I think you were filming that day, but we were just like we were Tollies. And a fight kicked off really bad. And it was very strange because this is my first introduction to this whole scene. a fight kicked off, and they were having the fight outside, coming back in and dancing together, then going back outside to finish the fight off. And it was literally just doing that for the next few minutes. And we were young then, and I always remember.
He was very young.
Yeah, I remember what you were saying at the time. So listen, keep your head down, play, and then go. Just get out of here quickly. And it was and then I think that opened a real kind of different side of life. Where, when you worked out when doing weddings, you realize that you've got to have your wits about you because it's a very high pressure day.
It is
loads of stuff, loads of money. People have spent loads of money. One thing goes wrong, it's all over.
It's all over. Yeah, I've seen many of them over. In my little career, I mean, I'm only 16 in the mind. Ricky, on that note, I'd like to thank you as a tour player and as a family to me, your dad especially, respect to him as well, because sometimes he reminds you of things which, to put your shoes where they actually belong is on the ground. I remember it was your relative's wedding and you came and asked me, can I play toll, uncle? You enjoyed it so much. You didn't want to come off the toll. No matter what it was, you wouldn't come off the toll.
Don't give me money. That's why. The longer I stayed on.
I know.
No. It was, I think, I remember it was.
It was your cousin or somebody.
Yeah, it was. And they did the gate.
Yeah, that's 100%. Yeah.
Millennium gig.
Yeah, and I remember you as a youngster. And viewers that are viewing, this is not because I'm being told to say I would never do that for nobody. Ricky was a gentleman tour player, and he never let me down in any gig, any situation, anything. And he played with the tour for over a year or so. And then one day he came up to me about 6 weeks before. He says, "Uncle, I'm gonna go to uni and all that. I'm gonna pack up tour now." I said, "Thank you, God bless you," because he was one of the great guys, honest, humble. Ricky was it. We'd have a laugh. We always had a laugh.
I won't go too much, but I appreciate Uncle. But some of the stories that even
I know.
I remember.
But we don't want to talk about them because that would take us completely off it. I've been a gentleman. Ricky,
you have.
Ricky, I will put the fire out. I will not throw anything on the fire.
Yeah.
I stopped many things happening in my ways. Obviously, I felt the way I was, and I was respected. I could stop a fight straight away because I knew the people straight on. And my career as a footballer was a naughty one as well.
Yeah, my dad does say that. As through Wonderbolts, he said that Bhajan used to hit. Bhajan could kick hard.
I was what they say. Dirty players. I was worse than that. He was like a boy in front of me. What I would do, he could never do it.
So how are you balancing this out? Though? You got your wedding and those football tournaments. I know you played a big part in that as well. Doing all these kind of things and balancing all that time. I can't work out the pressures that were.
The football was a Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon. Saturday morning football ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੀ, Sunday morning football ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੀ, Sunday afternoon football ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੀ. We'd play on the Saturday afternoon.
Do the wedding and come back to
No,
football.
I've done that as well. But once the weddings was full flight, I stopped football. I sported Wonderwalls for nearly 40 odd years. I done all their functions, and very expensive I was. Every artist that is known as an artist, from, I gotta say first, from Asadara to B21 to everybody, Shinda, all the rest. Only two people that I didn't get. Everybody played, for the functions, zero charge, zero bhajan charged. No charges. Whatever money we got together, we gave it to the club.
Yeah.
And they done me proud. They did do me proud as well.
But that I think that kind of community spirit was big from there. I just want I want to ask you a question, which was there's Siri asking a question as well. You were very pivotal in establishing the bands in Birmingham. Okay, so let's say you got Apna Sangeet, you got them from there. You've then you then started a new project in DJing, where that could start to become a bit of a threat to those bands and live bands. Did you start feeling any pressure or animosity?
I'm going to be honest to you, because I don't like lying. Lying is for people that want to cover up things. I don't need to cover up anything. When the bands hurt me, when you've given food in their mouths, you've given them the wealth, and they've not given you any respect for it. My DJ took off in a big way, and I mean that. Shall I tell you, I swear to God, I put my hands together and I said, God, these are the same guys that put me out. One day, I will put them out, all of them. And behold, it happened. It happened in India first. I don't know whether you know. The DJs, they finished the live bands. The DJs finished the live bands. And here, then it happened as well. Mainly, I've got to give respect to London. Not that I'm a fan of London. The London DJs actually, they killed it. They had mainly, I even know the people, mainly they were people that don't give a penny at the weddings. But what they done, they had a little crew made, nobody in Birmingham done that. In London, they done it. I won't name the names because it's not fair. They had, say, 10, 20 DJs all under one banner, and then the people that broke off from that crew made another banner, and they were one of the most popular ones. They've been earning good money and they've done a professional job. Respect to them, because they always respected us as well. And we was all singles, so we could never do anything. Everybody's too hungry to say, I'm Apna Bhajan, I'm Tony Mandis, I'm Mick St. Clair. There's plenty of other guys. I saw DJs being split into 1, 2, 3s. They were DJs. They were very fantastic DJs. But suddenly, the DJ started splitting up because whoever was on the mic was the DJ. The rest of the people you would always find at least 4 people with the DJ. The roadies and the people and the dollies. So they started splitting up, because then a lot of the dollies became DJs as well. Easy job out there. And honestly, I made them DJs as well, because they gave me so much love and respect. I gave it back to them the same way. And I wanted them to be successful as well, which they are as well. I can't believe sometimes. A friend of mine, there was their wedding, and they said, oh, we booked a DJ. And on the wedding day, I says to the guy, oh, he was with me for a couple of years, he's a good guy, good guy. And the guy, he got famous. He turned around, he says, Uncle, you're a liar, you are. I says, you are? He says, you're a liar. I says, you was with me for 2 years or so. He says, you know how many years I was with you? 7 years, Ganda. I couldn't believe it. I swear to God, I could not believe it. When he said that, I couldn't have believed it myself. But he was one, I'm going to say it straight out, he was one of the guys that turned up 15, 20 minutes before the functions, was there. You never had to ring him. You never have to tell him. And the job he learned it so well, you could leave him to do all the rest. And he became a chief name as well, you know.
So you've played a large part in a lot of careers and you know, and
I better
blossomed.
I better say his name as well, you know. We used to call him Raju, you know, because son, but he's known as, you know, Tommy. And you couldn't go wrong, you know, brother and two brothers putting up a great show, you know. And I've seen them
I
perform.
remember, yeah, Harvey used to be at the time when I used to play all of that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I actually played with you 2 years, not just the 1 year.
See, well, I always thought it was 1 year.
There you go.
It
Actually, I
just
think
tells
it's a
you
little
that
bit longer. I know.
it could have been.
But you've
But I
also
remember
started a lot of people in that the photography stuff. So you never stop that as well.
I personally, I never ever think it's a golden goal. Always give if you want something. Don't take. Always give. That way you'll be more happy to do something. And people will be always happy with you. Because there are more takers than givers, you know, if you can understand that. If you help somebody, they'll always remember you. And if you think, oh my God, he's my competition now, I couldn't care less, a little bit even. I always used to say, well done, you've done nicely, you know, very nice. And I touch wood everywhere. If ever anybody was stuck, there are famous people, I don't want to name them because it's not to that number. If anybody was stuck, even Khadeper, you know, if it happened, they would ring my number and I would get somebody there straight away, you know, one way or the other, if he wasn't there. Even if I had to leave the wedding so the other guys would carry on, I would go and do their job for them and make sure that they're on a good, you know, bend. There's no AA for the DJs, you know. If your amps go down, you've got to have backup, you know. If your decks go down, you've got to have backup, you know. We all say we got backup, but many times we don't carry it, you know. That was a good part of my life, you know. I thank God again for whatever and however, you know, at this young age, you know, for me to reach all these heights.
So you know, when you but you also had like your own sons involved in the whole music stuff and that. So what was your role in that then, in terms of like, how did you guide them? Did you stop yourself from getting too deep into it from any lessons that you learned?
I've learned one thing, a lesson of my own. You can't guide anybody. Kids, you can't guide them. They can guide you because you're old-fashioned, but you can't guide the kids. Technology. When did you ever think, you know, I said a few things long time before all this happened. I said, oh God, I'm sure I've got to even to say to you, you've seen Potiyatande, you know, the song that Suktan Alak. Brilliant. You know what he's used in there? The filming that I've done of Surinder Shinder singing Potiyatande live. And he's got a little box on the floor. It's written Fantex on there as well. That was my filming. And you know what I said then? I said, one day, the whole world will be a video man. The whole world. One day. Same as I found magic in the video camera, photography camera. I said, one day the world will be the same. Reason why? Aren't we all video men and photographers now? Phone. No, selfie, family, function, video. You know, it has saved the world. On that note, I want to say something else as well. Whether people like it or people don't like it. What's happening in India about the farmers? You know, 1984 would never have happened, had we had the phone. We didn't have phones. Otherwise, it's happened in India quite a few times. They've been moving big time armies, and suddenly they filmed them and put them onto Facebook or YouTube or wherever and stopped it happening. That's what saved the lives. Look how long they've been farmers protest. Look how long they've been there. If it wasn't for the video cameras, they would have been probably killed by now, all of them. That's my love of photography, video. So it saves lives. You know, what they've done there, many times, the news of India is all false. I would never, ever believe it. Never. Because it's owned by the governments. It's not owned by the public. You know, you can't give a free speech. Look at all the things that have happened in India. What has come out of anything? Hardly. If everybody had the phone then, 84 would never have happened. We would have filmed everybody. No matter who died, we would have filmed everybody. We would have seen the bombs, we would have seen the tanks, we would have seen everything. It's 1984. People have got video films from 1600s. They've got films, cine films. They've got films all the time, photographs of all the time. There was no photographs, no video. That's why everything happened in the wrong way of life.
Yeah, I mean, I think the power of media, especially now, you've seen it, especially in the political one. You've given an example as well, and you know we've seen that with Trump and all of these kind of the elections and over here. Do you feel? Well, I was just going to say, like, do you feel like more and more like the people need to take more responsibility? Because what you see now is things are happening. You know, you see loads of fights and people just filming the fights and doing all this. You know, what's your view on that?
In this day and age, you've got to be careful both ways. Don't sit on the fence, though. Don't sit on the fence. If you know something is bad is happening, film it. Film it. It's proof. They can't take it away from you. At least it's proof. But if something is happening in such a way that it's not going to do it justice, then old time tales. The first person to cast the stone could be worse than the rest. Before you look at the commitments, a lot of things goes on. Not everything needs to be filmed. This guy, that MP that's just got caught out, Randy Andy Hancock, you know, I can't pronounce that in English. In Punjabi, I can't pronounce it, you know. He would never have been caught. You can't be a preacher and then preach the other way. You know, look at what he was preaching and look what he was doing. If he wasn't caught, it would never have been the way it was. You know, bad luck for him, bad luck for his bad luck, I would say. He shouldn't have been doing it in the first place. You know, everywhere you go now, they can catch anything in town. You know, they got face recognition cameras. Wherever you go, they know where you go. They can.
That would have been good for the old weddings when you used to ask for people's names and that. if he already got it, the editing.
Yeah, it was all the good old days. That's what I'm saying. Video's been great. If we didn't have, you know, singers. I'm a fan of that guy as well. You're going to say, what guy? I'm his fan. And everybody else is his fan. Everybody that I know are his fan. He may have sang the dirtiest songs in this world, Punjabified. Every Punjabi has a double meaning. I'm sorry. Even if you say you love somebody, that's a dirty word. You know, that guy sang songs directly of what he wanted to say. And his legend still lives on today, Chamkila. We wouldn't have talked about Chamkila. We wouldn't have known what his songs were. But again, with proof, he got killed. If they had video cameras then, he would have been saved. Didn't happen.
And you're coming from a position where you actually used to have a actual video shop and that as well. That you used to run
Well, there you are.
we're at the same time. So, I mean, it was kind of like I was trying to say. I'm trying to paint the picture for those people of what it was like. It was like a one-stop place where you had arcade machines in there as well.
We had the works. We had the works.
You had everything.
I thank God that He gave me a good ride of life. He gave me a great, honourable way. I've made a lot of friends. I've made a lot of friends that became my brothers. I've known most of my friends are over 50 years of friendship. You know, from the time that I learned, something in my brain was ticking. And by the time of 17 and odd, was married and everything, didn't know what was going to happen in this day. Bless my family that are not here anymore. 7 of us, 5 brothers, 2 sisters, none of them are here anymore. There's just me left. But I thank, I just thank, we've all had a great journey. I'm very proud of my brothers. In life, you can't have everything. Mohan Singh Jagpal is the father of B21. He saw me on stage, but he never saw his own kids. How proud would he have been? Wasn't around, And the rest of the boys, especially this year that's gone, my brother passed away, Siva, he passed away. I thank God, I put my hands together and I did say, thank you, God, that he passed away here. He would have passed away in India. They went there, full family went there for a journey which the father wanted, Siva wanted his grandchildren, his son, everybody to go there and do these things, which I think is a great thing to do. But unfortunately, 2 weeks come back and was left, had a heart attack in the morning and died,
I think it's been, especially over the last year, and why I started this podcast around kind of the health thing, is to try and get these kind of stories or views and opinions. Not everyone's going to agree or with things that have been said, even in here, or disagree how it is.
Yep. They can.
With it kind of like you're moving forward. What kind of plans have you got that you want to what you got left? Is it? I've always said to you that you should have. That it would have been good to set up the schools of photography and all these.
I will agree with you. Ricky, I'm going to give you a medal for that. I know what you've said to me, gold one, because you should be awarded. I know that you've said this to me. I've been helping without any payment from anybody. If anybody comes to my door and says, Baji, when you come, Scarly, I'll tell him, there's a camera, I'll show you the rest. The rest you got to practice. And as old saying, practice makes perfect. Do it, anybody can take a photograph. You're halfway there with your mobile camera, and the mobile cameras can take a picture quality now as good as a £2,000 camera, £3,000 camera. And it can give you more effects in there without you doing anything, Photoshop or anything.
None of those classic poses.
Oh, well, those days are gone. Don't forget, people were shy then as well.
Yeah.
People were shy then as well. People were shy. And in my days, we go back 70s, I keep on getting messages here. I've got to move them out the way.
Don't worry, I can't see them. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
So, just there's a couple of things that I'm going to finish off with, and then we'll get down. Your favorite singer. I know your favorite group. You said Hero. What about your favorite singers? Because I know they all used to flock to you.
Yep, they did.
I know you can't say Gurdas Man because that's too easy. I know everyone.
That is. But bless him. I met him when he started out as well. I met him then as well. And I remember him. He liked cinema as well. they say in life, Kismat te apni apni. One of my favorite singers, you wouldn't even believe it. He came to visit me at my shop here quite a few times, about
I'm gonna
10,
guess.
12 times. Lachan Chamlajat.
Yes, I know the picture.
It was the same as having a religious guy, the same thing, Murawalia, come here to the shop to meet me. He said, if I missed you, I would miss the world. And look how many people he preaches to. I've seen him in crowds of 30 to 60,000. And he chose to come and visit me. Of all the people, he says, I always look at you for inspiration. I am like that. I don't care, because if it's not that I'm right in everything, no, this gives and takes. It's your own opinions as well. But I believe that you should always do your best. And one way of doing it is to help yourself, to help others. There's many people. There would have been a great gift. If the public has fed you, the singers I'm on about, if the public has fed you and you've had a good life, surely you should give the public something more by giving free classes of singing. How many of them do that? How many?
I don't think there's many.
There's not many. And the many that there are, but I do know some people that teach Tol and Tolki, and they rob the kids. I know for a fact. And yet they claim they don't charge, they don't do anything. They rob them children, and to them children playing on a stage, can you imagine what they would feel at that time? Is a great superior feeling, but they charge him to teach him. Surely you've been earning so much off these people. It's like me with my photography. If somebody turns up with me and says, can you teach me video photography? I say, yeah, of course I can. There's no problem. You're only going to give a few lessons, then they're going to manage themselves. Anybody can become a musician, anybody. And anybody can sing. Yeah, anybody.
Well, we know that now.
Anybody, and
the last thing I want to say to you, so this is called the bandwagon. So that there's many people who jump on loads of bandwagons and have their opinions. Is there anything that you want to say, or anything that's happening now that you want to kind of get off your chest? This is a free space for you to say it.
I just want everybody to be too well. I bless their feelings, their ways. Sometimes we all go wrong. It's better to forgive and forget. It may hurt. At the time, never make a decision very fast. And never leave it until another day either. Get it off your chest. Even if you're right, just put your hands together and say, I'm sorry. I did not want to hurt your feelings. Because sometimes we don't get that time to be sorry again or meet that person again. I've lost many of friends, the age we're at, that I'm at. And I know that God's given me a gift for me being here. I've died about, if I tell you honestly, probably about 13, 14 times now. I've died. I don't know what keeps me here, but I thank God, or whoever he is, however he is, because religiously, I don't think, my own ways of saying something, I don't think I'm really religious. But I tell you one thing, being in music and singing is the closest thing to God. If you can sing, sing it. If you can play music, play it. That's the closest thing you will ever get to God. And that can be changed as you go along. As long as you change with the music, your life's always happy. We see movies, when the people do something that's sad, and they're crying and the violins are playing, we start crying. We go and watch Tom and Jerry. They're making happy things happening, and we feel so happy. We cannot even ever think of the sad times. We're all a film, and we're all part of the film. We're part of the life as well.
Yeah.
And we're all in it together.
No, well said, Uncle. And we like all the lads that whenever you post something on Facebook or Instagram, we love it. We pass it. It's such a good sport. So,
and I just want to big up all the Nature Boys as well. Because I love every single one of them.
The Finnish gang and every one of them is there.
Well, every one of them are absolutely wonderful. Big respect going out to Gurjit Gill. I'll tell you why as well. We done his wedding as well.
That's Sudhara Gill's son, just for anyone who's listening.
Sudhara Gill's son, yes. A very, very, very honorable kid. Very honorable boy. A very honorable father as well, I got to say, because obviously, he's got twins and all the rest. He's the only guy that I've never, ever, ever seen him speak in a way that you don't need to speak. So humble in himself. Even to have a joke with him, you don't joke. He laughs with you. He does not have, that whiplash of life. He doesn't have that.
He has his moments.
Oh, yes, of course we do. Even the day that England was playing, and he phoned me out of the blue, and I know our friendship is great. I love our friendship as well. If I don't like something, that I always say, and I say it on the face. I don't hold it back either.
I think we can tell after this episode.
Anyway, back to ourselves. And Gurjit phoned me, and you know what he says to me? He says, "Uncle, I've never phoned you before." He said, "But can you come and meet us up here, please?" I said, "Gurjit, I'll be there in 5 minutes." And I'll tell you one thing, I can imagine the smile on his face. Even when I walked into the place, did you see the uproar and everything else? I don't think, I never ever think that I'm famous or anything. I do not think. I always think we met talking. But the people that was there, I had to go around all them tables in a pub, so that
it was the Champions League final.
That's it. I didn't want to name the teams because we're not interested in it.
No. So there was a good few lads, and we made it.
Well, a few hundred.
Yeah, and he came in, and he was like a superstar.
And I thank each one of them as well, because I don't think I'm worthy. I am who I am, and I always want to. I always say you've got to change if you're not doing right. You've got to change. You've got to go with the technology. Please don't be the parents that your kids say, "Oh, you don't know anything what's happening here," when you can put out better things than what they're thinking. Computers, I call them kabutar, pigeons, kabutar. There'll be new things. Before, when we had the memory, that, what was it, the Atari games and, and all that. How was that? Look how much has changed.
Yeah.
We want to look on the right side of life. We want to be positive. We want to be better for ourselves. I know that the whole world is in a mess at the moment. It's always been in a mess. If we can do better, we will do better. We will. And always think positive.
Uncle, on that note, I'd like to thank you for joining me on this, and I'm sure we're going to do this again soon. But I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please watch Ricky Pandal, the Bhandwagon podcast, 24/7, and recommend it to your friends as well, just like I have.
Thanks, Uncle.
Thank you.
Cheers.
God bless. Thank you. Thank you.